like some space between the two blocks for your shoulders to roll down. Some people like to lay down right on the blocks. I like a little blanket just to soften those rough edges. I like a bolster. Or a bolster works out really well. We want to think about lining the spine and the shoulder blades along the block. The other block is to catch your head, roll the tops of the shoulders down into that crevice. Some people like arms wide like the letter T, some like them bent. Legs are really your choice. You can bring the soles of the feet together, or you can stretch the legs out long. Take these first couple of moments just to check in and notice how your body feels. Notice the parts of the body that might be stiff or tense. To invite a bit of softness into those parts. Notice the way the thoughts are racing across the head, across the mind. Maybe you see a thought, you hear a thought, and then you imagine letting that thought just slide across the mind. You don't need to hold on to it or change it or question it. Just notice these thoughts that race. And then shift the awareness to your breath. Notice how the body inflates as you inhale and how the body releases. It becomes heavy as you exhale. You're in a gentle class. At the beginning of the class, I just want you to notice each inhale and each exhale. Notice if the breath is short and choppy. Notice if the breath is long and smooth. Perhaps you even notice pauses in between the inhale and the exhale, or a pause between the exhale and the inhale. Just a practice of awareness. We notice the breath because it brings us into this present moment, gives the mind something to attach to. It lets all the events prior to class and all the events after class just kind of languish, kind of shift to the sides. You can gather those worries up at the end of class, but for now, just stay connected to the breath. Follow 3 more rounds of breath, just like this. Noticing inhale, noticing exhale. Some people have a short length of breath, and some have a longer length of breath. As you finish your 3rd round of breath, stretch the arms out wide, hover the hands above the ground. And then make a fist with the fingers. Circle through the wrist. Take the circles in both directions. Stretch the fingers out again. Make space between the fingers. And then reach the hands up toward the ceiling. Make an X with the arms, bend the elbows, give yourself a hug. Massage with the fingertips along the tops of the shoulders. Tell yourself something sweet right here. Maybe something as simple as you are amazing. Or you are content. And then stretch the arms back up to the ceiling. Change the cross of the S. Give yourself another hug. And never have too much love. Massage through the shoulders. And then reach the hands back up to the ceiling. Take the arms down alongside the body. Just notice 3 more rounds of breath right here, right now. Mindfully start to lift the knees to the sky, soles of the feet to the mat. I want you to roll along the pelvis, the back of the hips, tailbone down toward the mat, and then curl the tailbone up toward the knees. And take a few of these pelvic tilts. It's teeny tiny. It's like you're getting a massage for the back of the hips. Feel the bum kind of roll. Almost like a cat and cow movement, but just on the pelvis. Perfect. Now roll to one side. Support yourself. Slide the props out of the way. Good morning, beautiful. Joanna's in the house. We'll make sure we have our strap nearby and then return to your back. Feel the back of the body on the mat without the props and notice. Notice how that feels. Begin to hug the right knee in toward the chest. You can hold on to the back of the leg. You can hold on to the shin. Find some circles, some rotations through the ankle. Wiggle through the toes. Maybe squeeze them in and spread them out. Be sure to go in both directions. And then let your right hand cup the right knee. We'll start to take that knee in circles, roll it around. Take about 3 in each direction, please. And then the next time the leg comes in toward the belly, pause there. Let go of the leg, but keep it drawn in. Reach for your strap. If it's all curled up, unravel it. We're going to take that strap, lasso the sole of the right foot, and press the foot up to the ceiling. I've got one hand on either tail of the strap. I'm going to flex the foot. Bring the toes toward the base. Reach the heel up toward the sky. And then bend the elbows and draw the whole leg in closer to the body, and then straighten the elbows. Shift the leg away from the body. So a little rocking horse movement. Feel free to keep the right knee bent, or maybe you bend and straighten as you move. Just check in and notice. Notice how the ankle feels, how the knee feels, how the hip itself feels. And then press that leg all the way up to the ceiling. Take both straps into your right hand. I'm going to take my left hand and put it on my left hip. You can keep the left knee bent, or you can straighten it, whichever feels better for your back. Start to open that right leg out to the side. For most of us, that's going to be the mirror side of the studio. Keep both bum cheeks on the ground, both hips level. Take a couple of breaths there. Doesn't matter how wide the leg opens, just feel a little sensation along the inner thigh. And then lift the leg back up to the ceiling. Take the straps into the other hand. Let's go ahead and straighten that left leg. Press the left leg down toward the mat. The floating leg, the one in the strap, is going to go across the body, just one ceiling tile, maybe not even ceiling tile. I like to line my toes up with my outer shoulder. Notice how that feels. If there's no sensation in this stretch, try this.
Take your hand alongside or on top of the thigh and slide the hand toward the hip. Press the thigh away. Ooh, does that give you more? And then release. Take that right arm out to the side like half the letter T and roll onto the left hip. You can keep the legs long or you can bend them. We're going to invite the back of the head to just kind of roll side to side. Give the neck a little stretch. And then begin to bend both knees, slide the foot out of the strap and roll onto your back again. Pause there on your back and just notice how it feels. Maybe you straighten both legs out nice and long and you're like, oh, wait, that right leg feels a lot longer, a lot more space created within it. And then hug the left knee into the chest. Take several circles through the ankles, wiggle through the toes. Just begin to notice how this side feels. Let the left hand cup the knee and start to circle the knee. Maybe 3 or 4 circles in each direction. When you feel complete with that, hug the knee into the chest. Try to keep it squeezed in, but let go of the hands. Reach for your strap and lasso the left foot. Press it up to the ceiling. Starting just like I did on the other side, one tail in each hand. We're going to invite the whole leg to come toward the face and then away from the face. Feel free to kind of bend the elbows, let it move organically. Just check in and notice. How does this side feel? And then eventually put both straps into your left hand. If you like that tactile reminder, your right hand's going to stay on the right hip. That's just to remember, keep that leg down. And then we open the leg and the strap. For most of us, it's going to be toward the front of the studio, the front door. Take a couple of breaths there. Really invite the bum to be heavy. Again, let go of the idea of, oh, I need to open this amount or that amount, and just feel the sensation. Feel the stretch. One more breath here. And then lift that leg up to the ceiling. If your right knee is bent, go ahead and straighten it out. We're going to take both straps into the right hand, take the leg across the body. Just a little tiny stretch through the IT band. You can come back to placing your hand and pressing the thigh away if that feels good, or just release it and notice the outer leg. And then move into the supine twist. That leg in the strap's going to come all the way over across the body. Maybe the arms spread out wide like the letter T. Maybe the head kind of rolls back and forth a little bit. Yeah. Take a couple more rounds of breath here. Bend the knees. Ooh, let the strap just rest on the side, roll onto your back, hug the knees into the chest, give yourself a nice little hug, a nice little squeeze, and then take a full body stretch. Legs reach toward me, hands reach toward the props. Now, my friend Nancy, I know you're on the other side, and Valerie, you're on the other side. Good. You're not going to reach to the props just because you're facing a different direction, and it's perfect. Curl in, make a tight little ball again. Take an inhale. As you exhale, lift the head and the shoulders toward the knees. Inhale, lower back down. Take 3 more, moving with your breath. Curling in and releasing. If you'd like to, on the inhale, turn it into a full body stretch, you're welcome to. I'm going to stay with the legs hugged in. One more. Perfect. Release the feet. Legs are going up to the sky. We're going to make an X with the legs. Cross one leg over the other. Doesn't matter which. We'll do both. Bend the knees. Now, some of you are going to reach up and hold on to the knees themselves and draw the legs in. Some of you are going to reach for the shins. Some of you might be able to find the feet. What I want you to notice here is a stretch through the outer bum. Take a couple of breaths there, feeling it, noticing. And then eventually release the legs. Shoot them straight up to the ceiling. Make the X with the opposite leg on top. Bend the knees. Hold on to the legs. Wherever it feels good to hold on, wherever you notice that stretch through the outer bum. I know in my body it's more intense through the leg that's closest to me, but I do feel it in both. And then release. Legs go up to the ceiling, bend both knees, bring them down to the floor. Invite the knees to windshield wiper side to side. The next time your knees come down to the right, pause there. Now we're in a bent knee supine twist. Take the arms out wide like the letter T. Okay. We're going to move this into more of an active stretch, and I'll guide you. What I want you to do is bend the left hand and take that left hand to the nape of your neck or to the back of the head. So you've got the right arm nice and long like the letter T, left hand is supporting the head. We're going to take that left arm and reach it up toward the ceiling, maybe even kind of roll it toward the right hand. And then open up nice and wide. Now we're going to keep the legs where they are and just move through the upper spine as we curl in and we open back out. Take two more of those. We're going to add one more curling in. So roll over onto your right side and then extend both arms, one on top of the other. Just lay the left hand down on the right. Beautiful. We're going to take some circles with that left arm. So be mindful of the props. Feel free to tap your neighbors. We're going to take that circle up near our head, maybe line up the arm with the ear, swing it around back as far back as you can go, and then bring it down by the hip. Bring it toward the hand, maybe even past the bottom hand. Take another circle in this direction, and then we'll take two in the opposite direction. Notice how this shoulder feels. When you feel complete with that, wiggle your way over onto your left side. Bend the knees, stack the legs, take the arms out nice and wide like the letter T. Just a couple of breaths, first in the supine twist. And then we'll bend the right elbow, catch the back of the head. As you exhale, curl the elbow in toward the left hand or the left arm, and then inhale, open up nice and wide. Three more, just like that, moving with your breath. And then just like the other side, we'll meet with the arms together. We'll stretch the arms out long, stack the right on top of the left. Two full circles in each direction. Circle that arm around. How much mobility can you have through that upper chest? I thought it was just me. I'm glad I'm in good company. When you feel complete with that, return to your back. Soles of the feet on the floor, knees to the sky, back on the mat. Let's reach for one of our blocks, please. We'll press the feet into the ground, lift the hips, and slide that block underneath your hips. Most people have a place where it just feels right. So there's not an exact science. I like it on the bony part of my hips, and I let my bum cheeks kind of hang off the other side. That usually feels really good for me. I want you to feel balanced. Start to lift the feet from the floor. Maybe it's one at a time. Stretch the legs up to the ceiling. Little variation of legs up the wall. Take a couple of breaths there. This right here, a very simple movement, but absolutely powerful for the body. What we're doing here is giving the heart a little break, not having to pump down against gravity, but to feel a little bit of ease. It's great for swollen feet or varicose veins. Okay, we're going to move our legs here. So feel really balanced. You can even hold on to the mat if you feel unsteady. Like sometimes I'll slide 4 fingers under the long edge of the mat and my thumb on top. And you can do that on both sides just to create a little bit more balance. We'll take the legs out and open them up wide like the letter V. And then squeeze the legs together. Not just a soft momentum, but a squeeze. Inhale, open the legs wide. Exhale, squeeze them together. 2 more, please. As the legs come back together, pause at the top. We're going to bend the knees. And then take the knees apart, soles of the feet together. This is our Baddha Konasana, our bound angle, but the feet are floating. Now take our hands and just place them on the thigh. I want you to press one thigh away and resist with the hand. Press the other thigh away and resist with the hand. And take that little rocking motion a few times back and forth. Maybe once more each direction. And then use the hands, bring the knees together, place the feet back on the floor. Take a step away with your foot so that your heels are not so close to the block. Just pause there. We're going to work the right leg first. I want to think about sliding that right leg, threading it underneath the left. You can reach for the foot and draw the heel into the left bum cheek. For most of us, we're going to have a sensation through the front of the hip of that right side. If you're not feeling it there, dip your knee down toward the ground until you feel it. The moment you're feeling it, you're doing it. It's just that everybody has a different place where they feel it. Take a couple of breaths there. Mindfully, let's slide that foot out, place it on the mat. Take a pause, knees to the sky, feet to the mat, notice. And then as you're ready, we'll thread the left foot underneath the right leg. Reach forward if that calls to you, pulse the knee if that calls to you. Again, we're just looking for almost like a, ooh, I'm awake in my hips type feeling. A few more breaths right here. And then as you're ready, we'll unthread the foots. I'm gonna slide my heels a little bit closer to the block. It gives me more support as I press the feet into the mat. Lift the hips, slide that block or that bolster or blanket out from underneath. Take a moment or two just resting the bum on the ground. And then as you're ready, roll to one side. We're gonna press up and come all the way up to a seated shape.
Doesn't have to be graceful. Make your way there. And then I'm gonna reach for my blanket. I like a little padding underneath my bum. It's optional. We'll take the legs out wide like the letter V. Everybody still with me? Still feeling good?
Yeah.
Okay. That little one where you thread the foot underneath. Did y'all feel that? But you know, we sit like this all the time. So it's always kind of folded in on itself. And that I find that's just kind of a soft way to feel a little tug there. Okay, perfect. Take the arms out in front of you. Interlace the fingers. Maybe you've got your Texas Tech gun out. That's totally fine. Churning the butter. I do not know how to say that in Sanskrit. We're going to imagine that we're churning this giant vat of butter. You can bend the elbows as you come in. Take several. So you can go further each time. And then wherever you are, pause and switch directions. Maybe there's two more. You come up through center, release the hands. For a moment, just notice the sensations. If you kind of scooted off the mat, the blanket, you can kind of roll back up, get the tailbone kind of snug down against the mat, against the blanket. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to mirror you. You ready? Right arm, reach it up diagonally away from the body. This right hand's going to take a little diagonal stretch toward the left foot. Come back up. Perfect. Another one just like that. Excellent. One more time, reach to the foot, stay low, stretch that arm all the way across to the other leg. Let the hand land. Come back up. Left arm lifts. Take it across toward that right leg and then reach it back up. As you come forward, stretch forward, reach the hand all the way across, lift the other arm. Perfect. Take it across. Woo. I forgot. On the third one, we'll do the swoop forward and around, switching the arms and lift. We'll take it again, each side. I'm going about 3 on the third one is when I do the swoop, but there's no right or wrong. Start to feel spaciousness through your body. When you come back up, that's where we'll pause. We'll take the right knee and bend it, put the foot towards you. Notice how that feels. Excellent. And then roll over to the right hip, kind of put your weight in there, press with your hands. We're going to take the left leg and swing it around behind us. Now, some people like feet coming in really close. Some people like it more like a 90-degree angle. So I just want you to feel comfortable, especially on that back foot. Just let it feel comfortable. Wiggle around until you find what's just right. Take your left hand and hook it up where your left femur bone meets the hip socket and invite the hip to go forward and then press the bum back down. Yes. Very much like that threading. This will be our last little lift. As we lift, take both hands over to your right side, walk them over and then away from the body. We're gonna find a little fold and a twist. You can stay on hands, you can lower down. If the head gets heavy, it's kind of nice to have a block under the forehead. Take a couple of breaths there. Perfect. Bring awareness to the hands, press them against the mat. Press into the arms, lift upright and unfurl from that. Lean all your weight over to the right. We're going to switch the legs around. Starting with the little hand on the hip, lifting the bum cheek and then pressing it back down. Almost like we're kind of oiling up the hip. And then as the bum lifts, start to roll over to that left side. Walk the hands away. Feel free to lower down. Feel free to put the block underneath the head, whatever feels good. Let the breath flow. As we prepare to come out, land those hands, activate the arms, unravel, slide both legs forward. Reach for your block, please. I'm going to use the narrowest. Sometimes I like the middle width, so you choose. I'm going to slide the block in between the thighs. I like it where it doesn't press against my knees. I want the thighs. I want you to squeeze the thighs in, squeeze the block in. Press the hamstrings down to the ground. Draw the toes back towards you. Ooh, everything is active. Back's okay? Excellent. Reach the arms up nice and high. Keep squeezing the block. That's the most important part here. And then take a really big inhale, lengthen up as high as you can. Exhale, hinge forward. Keep squeezing the block. You can land the hands down to the legs or the ground. Not the head yet. And then walk the hands back toward the body. Lift up, right. Bend the knees and remove that block. Both blocks are going to come to the top of the mat. And we'll transition to tabletop, hands and knees. I invite you to transition any way that's safe for you. If you like a little luxury under the knees, take that blanket, spread it out, open it up, add a little cushion. We'll place our hands on the blocks and find a few rounds of cat and cow with hands on the blocks. We usually have familiar ways of doing things and their habits. And when we shift just one thing or two things, it's like, oh, that is so different. So begin to notice how this feels along the spine. And then we're going to adjust the blocks. Take the left block and slide it closer to your knee. Right block, slide it away a little bit. So the blocks are asymmetrical. Hands are still there. Return to cat and cow. Move through the spine. Notice how this feels. It might not feel the same. It might not look the same. I know in my body that left elbow has to bend in order for me to feel the stretch through the back. I know that here I really feel it through the neck. Then pause and switch the blocks. Left block forward, right block closer towards you. 3 more rounds of that cat and cow move. And then line the blocks up again. Slide the right block a little bit closer to the center of the mat. Step the right foot forward on the outside of the block. Excellent. Now I've got really long arms, so being on the lowest level works super well in my body. Most people have to come to the second or the highest level. So again, just know that you can adjust the blocks to fit your arm length. Send the knee forward. Ooh, how far forward can you? Yes, now stretch it back. Take that a few times. And then bend the knee and just stack it over the ankle. Tuck the back toe. Power move. Press into the hands, press into those toes, lift the knee, start to straighten that back leg. Keep the front leg bent. Perfect. Now straighten the front leg and shift it back. Same as we did before, just now we're a little bit more elevated from the ground. As the knee bends, put the back knee on the mat. Untuck the toes. If that's more comfortable, you can keep the toes tucked if you prefer. Slide the hands up to the front leg. Perfect. Now I want you to imagine, this is a little bit of visualization. You remember how it felt to hold that block in between your thighs and you squeeze them in? Can you find that here? Can you imagine squeezing the inner legs in toward one another? Keep the hands on the front leg and start to curl the chest up to the sky. We're adding a little back bend here. I'm going to keep my hands on my legs, but if you want to stretch the arms up and overhead, you're welcome to for Anjaneyasana. Draw the chin to the chest, lift up and out. Fold forward, hands to the blocks. Right foot steps back. Take that right leg behind you and tuck the toes and do a little sawing motion here. Put the knee back on the ground. Have the blocks take a little walk toward the right side of the mat. Left foot steps to the block. Perfect. And then really send that knee forward and then send the bum back. The next time you come forward, pause, stack the knee right over the ankle, tuck the back toes. Power it up, lift the back knee. Perfect. Straighten the front leg and bend. As the front knee bends, pause there, put the back knee on the mat. Untuck the toes if that feels better. Walk the hands to the thigh. Okay, imagine, visualize. Pretend you have that block in between the thighs. Feel the muscles activate inward. From that space, lengthen up. From that support, lengthen up. Add a little back bend. Chest lifts toward the sky. Maybe gaze lifts. You've got the option to extend the arms if you want. I'm going to stay with my arms supported. It just feels really good. And then come back up. Perfect. Hands come down to the blocks. I'm going to slide the blocks closer to my left foot. Tuck the back toes. We're going to come up to stand. Lift the back knee. Step the foot forward. And then take the blocks to the highest level at the short edge of the mat and find a half lift. We want to send the tailbone back and the crown of the head forward, a little number 7 here. Feel really active through the spine. Keep all of that activity, press into the feet. Bring your hands to your hips and lift up. Circle the arms up and overhead. Interlace the fingers and roll the palms to the ceiling. We're going to add a little side bend here. Let's take a side bend toward the mirror wall. And then a side bend toward the front of the studio. And then release. Release the hands. Fold forward. I want you to find hands to the blocks, please. Take a half lift. Press and lift. And then a soft fold. We're going to reach for one of our blocks as we come back upright. Slide the blocks in between your thighs. Squeeze the blocks together. You might have to narrow the feet if you chose a skinny side of the block. If you like the wider base, feel free to choose a different side of the block. Perfect. Challenge I always find with this is that I squeeze so hard on the front side of the leg that it shoots off the back, or I squeeze so hard on the back side of the leg that the block shoots off the front. I want you to hold that block. Okay, we're not birthing the block, we're just holding and squeezing. Y'all think it's funny, but I'm sure somebody's gonna do it, probably gonna be me. Okay, spin the knees, sink the hips, squeeze the block, chair pose. Let's take the hands to our hearts here. Okay. Now peek down over your knees, can you see your toes? If not, scoot them back. If you can, great, sink a little lower. Squeeze the block. Oh, maybe you sink a little lower. Squeeze the block. Hand press into the feet, lift up, reach the arms up, keep the block there. Take a forward fold, keep the block there. Half lift, hands to the shins or the thighs, lengthening through the spine. And then fold. Press into the feet, lift all the way up, squeeze the block, squeeze the block. Hands to the heart, sink the hips, chair pose again. Beautiful. Now I'm going to keep my gaze down at my knees. The tendency here is for one knee to jut forward as we take a twist. I want to keep the knees in line with each other and squeeze the block. We're all going to take a twist toward the mirror. So for most of us, that's our right side. Don't have to hook elbow over if you don't want to. Come back through center. Take this twist over to the other side. Come back through center. Sink a little lower. We're going to repeat. Twist. Center. Twist. Center. Hold. Widen the feet, remove the block, let it slide out of the way. Take a little pedaling of the feet. Bend one knee and then the other. Maybe the heel lifts and then the other one lifts. Nod the head. Yes, I got this, Catherine. And then half lift, hands to shins or thighs. Fold. Come all the way up, rise up. Slide the hands to the heart. Perfect. Shift your weight into the right foot. Really feel heavy and strong. Feel stacked. We tend to kind of hike the hip out. I want to stack up the bones. Reach the left knee forward. I remember how it felt to squeeze the block. You don't look at me because I will fall. Imagine squeezing the legs toward one another. Gather up strength, lift the body up even higher. And then release. Try it on the other side. Shifting, stacking and supporting, squeezing and lifting. Doesn't matter how high you lift the knee, doesn't matter. We're focusing on drawing everything inward and up. And then release. One more time each side. Some of you are gonna be like, "Ooh, I got this." And I'm gonna say, "Hey, what would happen if you close your eyes?" Change to the other side as you're ready. Again, the focus is easing in, lengthening up, and then release. Take the arms out, reach them up and overhead. Practice the arms. Add a back bend. So lift from the chest. Roll the shoulders around and then release. Fold forward. Take a half lift. You can have hands on the blocks or hands to the shins or the thighs. Fold. Bring the hands to the floor. So bend the knees so much that the hands come to the floor. Step the feet back. Return to tabletop pose. Take a round or two of cat and cow, just naturally, normally moving through the spine. And then draw the belly down to the ground. So lower the body down. Slide your blocks just to the short edge of the mat. They're there in case we need them. We're gonna rest our right cheek down on the mat. I like arms like a cactus. Some people like arms wide. Some people like to stack the hands and make a pillow for their head. So find arms that are comfortable for you. And then draw that left knee out to the side. So the inner left knee is going to be on the floor, or maybe on your mat or on your blanket. I like to line my knee up with my hip. Some people like to keep the knee bent. Some people like to straighten the whole leg. I want you to take several breaths here and imagine that inner leg softening. We call this our half frog pose. And I always think of that visual of right before you get to dissect the frog, how they're pinned to the tray. Y'all remember that in high school? Yeah. Okay. That's where we get the name from, right? I'm so sorry for the gruesome visual. Not really, though. I mean, that's just what comes up in my mind. Okay, slide that left leg back and down in line with the spine. I have to kind of wiggle it around. Flip to the other cheek. So your left cheek is on the ground. Your right knee comes out to the side. Several breaths, softening that inner right leg. Begin to slide the right leg back in line with the spine. Let's bring our forearms to the mat, elbows underneath the shoulders, hands parallel. Take a couple of shoulder shrugs, dip the shoulders to the ears, and then press the ears out of the shoulders. And the next time you press up, I want you to imagine gripping the mat so intensely that you could actually draw the chest forward to the short edge of the mat. Notice how the low back feels. If there's complaints, squeeze the bum. And then bring all the awareness to the belly button. Can you lift the belly button from the floor? Notice how that supports you. And then let the belly sag, really exaggerate it. Maybe you shrug a little bit. Press, draw forward, lift the belly button. And then release. Lower it all the way down. Take the elbows wide. You can stack the hands again or fist for a little pillow for support for your head. Bend the knees and let the feet windshield wiper side to side. Extend the legs long behind you. Lay the legs on the mat. I'm going to encourage you to squeeze the legs together. Zipper it up. Imagine how it felt when you had the block, and then just see if you can find that feeling again. Keeping the legs squeezed together, how much effort would it take for you to lift the legs from the ground? And then lower. Now, the tendency here is to bend the knees. I want you to think about lifting the thighs and tapping the feet back down. Take one more. Perfect. And then release the hands, release the legs. Take your forehead to the mat. Slide the hands alongside the floating wrists. So almost like they're lining up with your waist. Squeeze the elbows in toward one another. Notice that when you squeeze the elbows in, you feel the backside of your body activate. Super tiny baby cobras. Press into the hands and just lift the body up from the mat and then lower back down. Think about maintaining that squeeze as we repeat. Notice if you're using hands or back. The next time you lift, back out just a little bit, cover the hands. Perfect. That's hard, right? Release.
Okay, we're gonna press all the way back to child's pose. Send the hips to the heels. Feel free to widen the knees. Take the arms out in front of you. Take several breaths, noticing and feeling. Perfect. We're going to transition from our child's pose onto our back. I'm going to cue one way, but if it's not safe to transition that way, come any way you want. I'm going to lift up into tabletop. Let's take the knees to one side, lower the bum down, kind of flip myself over like a little pancake.
Blanket on the mat.
I like that extra comfort under my hips. So I have mine still there. I actually just slid it up so it was by my waist. But if that does not suit you, take it off. We're going to start in that base pose. We want to feel soles of the feet on the floor. If you're on the mat, kind of scoot the mat away from the soles of your feet. Knees up to the sky. Take the hands alongside of the body. Press the palms down. See if you can press the triceps down. Notice there's a little lift through the chest. And then as we inhale, we're going to think about curling the tailbone up to the knees, lifting the hips, lifting the waist, lifting the floating ribs. Keep pressing into the arms for support. And then come back down with that same slow, steady movement. And then let's just repeat that several times. I'm looking for mobility in the spine. Doesn't matter how high you lift. How much can you segment? If you've got 24 vertebrae in the spine, can you find movement at all 24? Or do you only find movement at 3? Take it several times, exploring. No judgment, no frustration, just noticing. Traditionally, yogis had a saying, you're only as young as the movement in your spine. Ooh. So carry all the wrinkles you want, all the laugh lines you want, but keep moving the spine. The next time your bum comes down to the ground, let all that movement go. Reach overhead, find the block. My block is overhead. Maybe yours is too. If not, reach for it. Reach for your bolster. I'm going to slide underneath the bum. Okay. Press into the feet. We're returning to that restorative bridge. The block's going to go underneath the hips. You can widen the arms a little bit. Find more ease in this posture. And then explore. What would it feel like if you took a step away from the block? Notice the tops of the thighs. Do you feel that stretch, that extension? Some of you might want to take another step away, lengthening through the legs. My body only says one leg at a time, Catherine. Can't handle both. So feel a little stretch through the front of the hips. Feel the back side of the body soften. Releasing into the support of the mat and the block. Begin to walk the heels toward the block again. Maybe it's one step, maybe it's several teeny tiny tiptoes. Press the feet into the mat, lift the block, or lift the bum from the block and remove the block. And then invite the body just to windshield wiper through the knees, shifting side to side. The next time the knees come down, pause there. I'm going to throw in this cue. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. I want you to think about the leg that's on the bottom. For me, it's my right leg. That's the outer foot that's touching the mat. I'm gonna lift that right leg and put it on top of my left thigh. Not to pull or to push or to stretch into something, but just a little added weight there. Take another breath. And then release the foot, put it back on the ground, knees flutter up to the sky, and then cascade over to the other side. If you liked that little added weight, bottom foot comes on top of the top leg. Take a couple of breaths there. And then really, a minute for any other movement that you might like. I'm going to turn the overhead lights off so you'll hear the pitter patter of my feet. You'll hear the door. And then we'll set up for that final resting pose. Let this final resting pose be comfortable. Search out the ease in your body. Notice if you want a little blanket, you've got one around. Invite a bit of softness. Awesome. Notice the exhale. It's okay. No worries. With every exhale, feel the body recede into the support beneath you. Feel it soften, almost as if it could surrender. There's a heaviness along the back side of the body and a lightness through the front side. Tap into that. The space in between. Notice the inhale breath. Inviting each inhale to expand. Feel the breath shifting, swirling around the curves and the bends in your body. On that expanded breath, add a little wiggle to fingers and toes. Maybe ankles and wrists start to circle. And then as you're ready for more movement in the knee, propel yourself over to one side, no matter which. We'll take a breath or two and see pose if that's comfortable for you. And then eventually meet in any comfortable seated shape, facing any direction. Snuggle the tailbone down into the mat.
Lift up through the body, roll the shoulders around and down the back. Create the best posture you've had all day. Take a breath there, notice. It's a lot easier to breathe more completely, more fully when we've created space in the body, when we have this great posture. And then take the arms out to the side. As you inhale, lift them up and overhead. Let the palms slide together down the midline. You can rest your hands at the heart or return them to the lap. Soft tuck of the chin. A moment of gratitude for you. Thank you for showing up to the mat, for breathing, for moving, for observing. Thank you for this incredible community. From my heart to each of yours, namaste. Namaste.